Hi, you're with Tacitus today at your Pushback channel, Tacitus today, and thank you for joining this audio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about bullying. Now, we've had a couple of sort of contractual disputes, mine is it's just clients trying to wriggle out of the contract, there's a widespread sort of conversation, if you will, about bullying. Now, it's used really as a device against men, particularly straight, white, middle class men, but and the interpretation is broad. For example, if he's a hard-working, upstanding, citizen that arrives on time, has a degree, does a good job, and so on, then he makes brown and black people feel bad, and that means he's a bully. Not because he's actually doing any bullying, but his mere existence as a high achiever, as a hard worker, that means he makes them feel bad. That feel bad sort of vibe is recast as bullying, but only if a white person does it. If a straight white guy does it, it's bullying. But if a brown person does it, or some minority, then it's not bullying. So it's very, very ideological. Now, wherever you go now, schools, that they make this huge big deal about bullying. They've got programs to stop it, and they're going after the culprits, and they're re-education, and it's very Marxist and very ideological. I mean, you think you're in North Korea listening to some of those or reading some of those diatribes about bullying. And again, given how ideological it is. The same goes in a number of workplaces, particularly where there's government involvement or government funds involved. But actually, bullying is sort of quite widespread. It's far worse now than I remember it as a young guy. I remember the very first job I had. It was in the summer holidays. I don't know, I was 14 or 15 or something, and it was the summer holidays in between the school years, and I got a job at some warehouse just as a shit kicker, moving cartons around the place, sweeping the floor, those sorts of basic type jobs. And the boss took the view that he just couldn't ask you to do something or say, well, look, this is what I need to do. Okay. He would always talk to you as if you were determined to defy him at every opportunity. Defiance and to undermine his position was all you wanted to do. You didn't want to do anything else. And he seemed to like to terrorize, young kids, sort of guys like me. And I'd shake in my boots when he'd start shouting. But instead of saying, look, Billy Bob, could you sweep the floor over there, or could you, put these cartons onto that truck? Or something? Instead of anything like that, he'd come at you with he'd get right in your face, and four-letter words were, the guy wasn't highly educated, but his four-letter words, you fucking go and you fucking do that, and he'd be right in your face, and you fucking do that right now, and if you fucking and that was sort of how he talked. But he always took this view that you're daring, you trying to challenge my authority, you want to take me on, you want to get at the back right now, you want to step outside. He just had that fixed demeanor. Now, he wasn't like that when his boss came around. He acted like a little simp, but he was, say the least, brutish, and I would rate that as a bullying sort of behaviour. But as a kid, you sort of, I was grateful for the extra pocket money type thing to buy the vinyl albums that were around at the day, and the latest music that I liked, that sort of thing. So I didn't really think much about it. I even thought, well, gee, that's not really a productive way to treat people. I don't think that. But we're only there for 6 weeks during the holidays. I mean, who gives a shit, really? Anyway, that was sort of the bullying. But the bullying at school, there's a lot of bullying in the workplace, bullying around. There's a lot of talk about it. In fact, there are, you look at some of the adverts on the job boards, and these companies spend way more time talking about their virtuous policies than they do about the fucking job. I mean, even there's a job as somebody you working in a factory, and I keep an eye on those because that's the big claim that the globalists have. We've got no one. There's no one to do the low paid jobs. We've got to import millions. So I'll keep an eye on those things just to look at the stats on it, and some of the adverts that go for a million words. The first 100 words about the job, the rest of it, and often they mention anti-bullying policies. So anyway, just coming to what is bullying now. Now it's sort of widespread, but it's done in ideological, moral terms, rather than the more physical, sort of brutish way that it was done previously. The idea that the boss would be, say, in his 50s and he would talk to a 14-year-old as if you're a child, which was kind of okay, that's that type of dialogue, like you're the wayward child that needs to be slapped down or slapped into shape or something, something like that. That tended to pervade relation. As soon as I got into professional type employment, that disappeared. But typically the jobs that I had over holidays and at college time, that sort of thing, they typically were Churnham and Burnham type jobs and were really grunt work more than intellectual property type, intellectual type work. I remember I had a job working as a labourer for a builder or a landscape gardener, and he never stopped screaming at you and using all sorts of profanities I'd never heard before, and combinations of profanities that were new to me. He paid actually quite well, so I put up with it. But again, he was one of those, you want to step outside, you want to challenge me, you're daring me. Eh? He had that bullying, sort of intimidating manner, which I think was more a reflection of his insecurity, or maybe he was hanging out with the wrong people or something. But looking at coming now to bullying today. Now, we not often, but it does happen from time to time. It seems to be happening more recently, where the client, and we're subclient. This is knowledge intensive, technical type work, so we're not sweeping the floor or something. And everyone sort of has to be highly qualified, very experienced to be doing this type of work. And there's not that many people around who can do it, or certainly not to the A grade standards. So we're professionals. We expect to be treated as professionals, and the respect that we receive, we give, and we think a professional relationship of dare I say, collegiate sort of harmony is how we think things should work at this level. This is not a brutish thing where you can behave like bullies or treat people like children or treat people like morons. It doesn't work. It doesn't lend itself to this heavyweight intellectual type work. So anyway, we get from time to time, though, the clients want to wriggle out of the contract. Now, the contract means that at any time they want to get out of it, they can say at any time, look, Billy Bob, we don't need this service anymore, or we're going in a different direction, or whatever. So we're going to end things right now, this very second, and we'll pay you out as per the written terms of the contract. The written term to which the parties have agreed, the written term will pay you out the agreed amount. Now that agreed amount is agreed. Now it may be a week's of hourly billings, or a fortnight, or a month, or whatever the arrangement is, depending on what costs and we've incurred. The further we have to plan ahead, then the more costs we're incurring in advance, and then the more we want those costs covered in the event they just want to arbitrarily end the contract. Now, if they've got a genuine grievance, then we've got an arbitration system where they say, well, the grievance is you did this or didn't do that or whatever it might be, and then we talk about that, and we compensate them, they compensate us, or we reach an agreement. Now that's it's in the contract, and the contract is legal, and I'm happy to take those contracts to court, and I always win, and so. But nonetheless, and when it comes to a contractual dispute, I prefer to be the one who handles it. Not that some of my colleagues can't or whatever, but my understanding of the legal issues and how to present things in court and what evidence will be useful in court, what one, that's something that I'm probably the most qualified in. So I try and do that. If I'm around, sometimes something may happen when I'm not there or not available or whatever. But I want to talk now about the bullying tactics that he used, but how it's acceptable when they do it. So when BLM and Antifa riot, it's acceptable. But if people concerned about the 2020 election protest, then that's an insurrection and they have to go to prison. So it's okay when we do it, but when you do it, it's a fucking insurrection. And this same sort of thing applies. You're straight white males. Older straight, all in you're straight white males, so you're all Hitler. So you have no moral standing. We are the moral superiors, and we tell you, and we will finger wag you, and we will talk to you as if you're 5-year-old children, and we're allowed to bully you because morally we're superior. So you have no moral standing. So we can do this. It's not bullying when we do it. We're just putting you fucking Nazis in your place because you're Nazis. So it's very much in a. I mean, they don't say that, but that's the sort of the moral paradigm that they seem to apply. The accountabilities that apply to us straight white males, with college degrees and PhDs and so on. The accountability applies to us. Does not apply to them. They're the oppressed victims. We are the oppressors. We are the Nazis, the straight white males. We are the Nazis, and they have every right to talk to us however they want to talk to us, as if we're, again, wayward children. So, no, I don't appreciate that. That typically doesn't come out until you get there's something they want. So now they can so we've got a client wants to wriggle out of the contract. We want to get out of this. And of course they can do that, but they have to pay us out. So they think, okay, what we'll do is we'll accuse them of something. We'll threaten them. We'll say that they've done some Nazi type thing. That's always the go-to. And we'll use that, and then they'll get so scared they'll run away with their tail between their legs, and then we'll have wriggled out of the contract, and we haven't had to pay them. I mean, what a win! What an achievement! Wow, we are so virtuous. So they'll use the language of virtuosity and of that, the very leftist globalist type language to create this sort of moral thing of, we're so morally superior to you, and you're so morally inferior that you better just walk out the door and let this go before some real trouble starts. That type of thing. Now you can sort of see that there's a build up that you can see coming, and but once you can sort of, I know I can spot it. Like some of my colleagues maybe not necessarily, but I've been around long enough to spot the initial moves, the initial uncertainties and hesitancies, and that they'll ask for things that are well outside of the scope of the written agreement. And then when we offer to amend the agreement to take in these extra demands, they say no, they don't want it. And they'll try and infer, well, if you don't do this, don't do what we want, you're morally bereft in some way. They won't come at it from a professional angle, because the professional angle is, here's the contract, this is what you wanted done, this is what we've agreed to do, this is the agreed price. I'm simplifying a little bit there, but that's it. They want to now go outside of that. But if we don't go along with it, then they're arguing that from a moral perspective, we're bad guys, possibly Nazis. So that's you see that sort of build up coming. Now then the next stage is that a junior person from HR will be sent, human resources, or maybe the diversity department will be sent to infer we've done something wrong. We've transgressed in some way. A trans person, their pronoun wasn't properly used. There'll be an inference. It won't be directly stated; it'll be inferred, and the will be spoken to you like some snotty little 19-year-old will come up with that snot-nosed bimbo walk that they do when they're so morally superior, and they're going to tell you off, and then give us the finger wag. Again, you've got some 19-year-old low IQ bimbo, lecturing me. A guy's about to turn 60, and finger wagging and giving you're morally inferior to me type lecture. No, so you don't want to overreact to these things, and you have to take it a little bit, the good with the bad, because you don't want it to flare up into confrontation. Because once it flares up into open confrontation, nobody wins. And as I know, once it's flared up into that level of confrontation, I know we're never going to see business from them again. So I might as well drag them through the courts for as long as the fancy takes me there. But not that I want to do it. I'd rather keep them as a customer. But so they come along with the heavy bullying stuff, but they send the bimbo girlie there. They're hoping that we'll say something intemperate to the young girl. Then she can run off crying and say, "Oh, he said to me he's a Nazi." And so again, it's a bit of a set piece maneuver, really. And so we tell him, no, we're not going to, we're not moved by what. Then not long after, the CEO might appear, or you might get the director of HR coming along having another stab, and then the CEO will come after that. And you can see from the look, the way he walks and how he's looking at the ground and so on. And then they'll come at you something like this. Look, a male member of staff came up to us and said that you, or one of the people that you employ, or the subcontractors that one of the people, male member of staff, one of the people spoke very inappropriately to one of our female staff, very inappropriately. It's a very serious matter. And this male member of staff was very concerned by it and has brought it to my attention. So I want you to just down tools and just walk off now, just go away. And we won't take it any further, but only if you leave right now and forget about any payments or severance or payouts for the contract, that sort of thing. That's how serious it is. It's serious. I mean, do you really want to have it be known around town that you guys are sexual harassers of helpless little women, that you're Nazis? I mean, they don't say that, but that's the sort of the ideological sort of attack that they come at you with. Now, I'm unmoved by it, probably because I've been around for long enough, but I'm unmoved by that because I've spent time in and out of the courts dealing with troublemakers and mischief makers and folks who are just trying it on. I'm not scared by that. Younger people or some of my colleagues are. They're shivering and quaking at the thought of it. No. Okay, well, look, it is a serious matter, Jimmy Jack. And we are concerned. You're concerned about it. We are concerned. I am concerned about it. So what I need now is a written statement from that male member of staff, and he identifies the time and place, exactly what was said. The female staff member that was upset or was harassed or whatever the claim is, and the member of staff, of our people that did it. And I need to know that, because I might take my own employee to court if they've transgressed the law to that extent. This is a very serious matter. And equally serious, Jimmy Jack, is if there's been any conspiracy to commit perjury, to falsely accuse someone to commit perjury, because if that perjury is committed in a court of law, perjury is a very serious offence, Jimmy Jack. And I would personally ensure that whoever it was who committed this perjury, or those who conspired with them, were also brought before a judge in a court of law. And we can talk about that in front of a judge. Now, at this stage, the colour drains from Jimmy Jack's face, and he thinks, fuck, that one didn't work. This is blown up right in my face. Whoa, I better backpedal out of this real quick. But also the look on the face is, you motherfucker, looks like I'm going to have to pay you, and all I want to do is wriggle out of this and not pay you. But it looks like, Billy Bob's going to play hardball and he's going to want his money, which is exactly right, by the way. So now I don't want it to get to this. I'd much rather that we talk about it. And if they came and said, look, we want to get out of this, Billy Bob, but we owe you, 50, for example, $50,000. But look, if we give you 35, will that sort of keep you happy? It would be worth my while to take a hit on the 15, keep them sweet, and then keep them as a customer. It will be worth my while. But because they go straight to maximum, they put they go from a dial being a 0 to kind of putting it right up to 10, and then they come at you, all guns are blazing, hoping that'll sort of that the shock of the ambush will cause you to go down like a sack of shit. But I just won't have it. No, you fucking behave professionally, you moron. We've got a contract here which is very clear, and we will all, both of us, behave in adherence to the terms of the contract. But instead, they'll move straight to the bullying. Now, I'm finding this more often, but it's done on the moral plane. You misgendered a trans person. We've heard you've upset a female member of staff, or they'll come at you that direction. But I come straight back and say, okay, put it in writing. Let's go to court now. You get that in there, and we'll talk about it in front of a judge. And then they just disappear. They go to water and run off. But they resent it. They resent not again. But they use the bullying tactics now. Afterwards, we'll go. So say a few months will go by, and I'll bump into one of them, and it might come up in conversation because things have calmed down by then. I might come, why did you do that? Why did you make those threats? Why not just pick up the phone and talk to us? Why not try and reach an accommodation? Why go straight to maximum bullying, maximum daggers drawn, maximum guns drawn? Why do that straight away? Why go to that level? Oh, well, we didn't really want to pay. And we just thought if we really hit you hard and hit you with everything that you'd back down. We just we just tried it on. We just tried to get away with it. Okay, it didn't work. But it was worth a try. And then you'll get some sort of guilty sounding chuckle from them. I again went after them for all the money. And because I'd incurred some legal costs, and I hit him up for that as well. So the point being, though, that bullying is a standard tactic, but except instead of being done on physical terms, the big mean guy bullies the little guy type. Instead of that, it's done in moral terms. So people who perceive themselves as the morally big guy, I'm not a Nazi and you are. I'm the moral. Instead of the physical thing, it's now a moral thing. So morally, that they're attacking you, saying, well, you're a Nazi and you're a harasser of trans, black, lesbians, and you're a racist or you're a misogynist or you're this or that. They'll try those sorts of things. So really the bullying is exactly the same as it was. And I think no matter what happens with bullies, as soon as one bully sort of goes, it's like it creates somehow a vacuum, and it's filled by other bullies who may use different means and methods, but it's still bullying nonetheless. If we look at the way the state bullies Western citizens now over so many things, whether it's what you say online, your political thoughts, and what your views might be, use of motor vehicles, or gasoline powered or electric powered. All the state is bullying its citizens horribly now, more so than I ever remember, and other than in, say, wartime perhaps. But so this sort of bullying is going on. I remember at school that there would be you had to be pretty careful when you came away from the school canteen, where if you'd got an ice cream or something that was considered to be like a pretty hot item, there used to be people lurking around, like sharks, off the shore of a beach with seals on it or something. There used to be these goons and heavies and bullies and thugs who would sort of lurk and patrol around the canteen area, and if some little kid, like a first year kid, or some little scrawny kid got the ice cream, they would come in and threaten, death and destruction unless the kid gave up the ice cream. And there would be other ones that would extort the lunch money or the bus travel money from somebody. There was all that sort of stuff going on. As hard as the teachers tried to stop that and patrol the area themselves, they never seemed to be able to stop it. And some of these people were quite ingenious in their methods and how they could whisper, "I'll fucking kill you after school if you don't give me that ice cream," but in a whisper loud enough for the kid to hear it, but where the teacher couldn't. And it was an interesting sort of thing. But that type of bullying, I remember that there was a couple of sort of serious bullies, and they went to another school, or one of them I think went to some like children's prison, and I remember a lot of people breathing a sigh of relief that the two sort of apex bullies had gone, but they'd hardly gone out the door before the other people had come in to take their place. It was like the bullying sort of structure of physical threat and intimidation. It didn't change. It stayed exactly the same. Who filled it or who filled the positions within the bullying hierarchy, that may change, but the bullying itself didn't. And I think it's the same now with the moral bullying that we get. Okay, the bullies aren't the big hairy dude with the stick or something like that. It's now the moral police that'll accuse you of being a racist or something like that. But they've still got the same capacity to cause you, financial pain and to disrupt your life. They've still got that same capacity as the other. Just it's a different form of bullying and delivered. The delivery system has changed, but the bullying infrastructure really remains. So all this talk about bullying and stopping bullying, it really means that it's just that they've changed the bullying infrastructure. And the idea of bullying is to stop the bully, you've got to bully type attitude, which is hardly a helpful thing. But I've noticed this in the workplace. This moral bullying is constantly, well, not constantly, it is far more frequently being used. But it's being used by the new moral policemen of the new world order, the diversity officers, the HR officers, and so on. And some of the CEOs who are mamby-pamby sort of boys, little soy boys, they're big and tough when it comes to morally policing everyone else. But they're bullies nonetheless. You've been with Tacitus today, your Pushback channel. Thank you for listening.